Andrew Tate. So I want to talk about the latest arrest of him and his brother Tristan. I want to just show you what the official position is, and then there's some other theories. So according to Reuters, Romanian court extends the detention of ex-kickboxer Andrew Tate in rape and human trafficking case. So they have arrested him, I think, 2 days ago after the tweet battle with Greta Thunberg about some emissions and some stuff. And then according to the police, they got to know that Tate actually is in Romania because of a pizza, which is kind of absurd because when you fly into the country, you are going through customs, so you have to declare you're in the country. There's actually a video of the police or the squad taking Tate's outside, and he says like, this is by the Matrix.
The Matrix has attacked me.
The official statement is that the Romanian court agreed to extend the detention of Andrew, I guess also Tristan, by 30 days after the divisive internet personality was arrested. Suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. I mean, Tate's lawyers said from our perspective there are no grounds for taking this most drastic preventive measure, but it is judge's prerogative. And they have been raided in April already under the same suspicions of organizing some human trafficking stuff. So there are 4 suspects appear to have created an organized crime group with the purpose of recruiting, housing, and exploiting women by forcing them to create pornographic content meant to be seen on a specialized website for a cost. That sounds pretty vague because we know Tate had a cam girl business. Haram, obviously, for us Muslims. I don't think he was actually doing it since he became a Muslim, but I don't know. So prosecutor says that they found 6 women who had been sexually exploited by the suspects. That's the kind of official lens on the story. I want to bring you guys to the attention of this guy, Michael Tracy. He's a journalist from New York. He has come up with an interesting theory I want to share with you. Here's a conspiracy theory based exclusively on public US government records. Let's go through it. In 2020, the State Department criticized Romania for failing to address human trafficking and placed it on a watch list. In doing so, the US hoped to stimulate action and create partnerships. It's an official actually document on the US Embassy in Romania website. A few months later, one such partnership was launched and the US single-handedly funded a new multifaceted Romanian state initiative to strengthen its law enforcement related to human trafficking. The program encompassed directorates on organized crime as well as... It is funded by a $600,000 grant from the US State Department office to monitor and combat trafficking. Early 2021, the State Department expressed satisfaction that Romania has adopted a sweeping national action plan to address each and every recommendation the US has made in its harshly critical 2020 report. July 2022. Closer dates. Romania was pleased to announce that the US had upgraded its ranking and taken it off the watch list. Each and every recommendation the US made was approved for the new national plan, including increased the number of human trafficking convictions. Take a look at the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act of 2000, which authorizes this particular US global pressure campaign in the name of combating human trafficking. Only problem was there weren't any victims, as the head of the Bush administration anti-trafficking program admitted. The government spent $28 million in 2006 to fight human trafficking in the US. Those funds were wasted. They were available to help victims. They weren't any victims. There were no victims, but the organizations were set up that help the victims of human trafficking. Does that make sense? Bush decided to adopt the peculiar crime-fighting strategy of hiring a PR firm to find the elusive victims. So now we're looking for victims of human trafficking. They received $9.5 million. The Washington stated we're giving away money to catch them so they can train people who can train people who can train people to serve victims. This victim finding approach is what the US now recommends for countries like Romania, which of course drops everything to adopt as swiftly as possible. No reason to think Romania, a key military satellite of the US, contributes to their sense of great moral urgency here. So the recommendations for Romania by the US government are proactively identify potential victims. Obviously, I'm not asserting any conspiracy theory. This was facetious, but I am providing some context to better understand this Andrew Tate story, which has no media outlet bothered to mention that the US happens to be funding Romania's new human trafficking police unit. I'm not saying anything as well. I'm just giving you the context. This is what's going on. And just so you understand, basically Romania is part of European Union. They are inside. Yeah, we have our own national kind of like legislation. We have our own laws and everything, but the European law is superior to the national law. However, there's US, right? And US is not part of European Union at all, but they have, quite an influence because like the US embassy here in Slovakia, they organize quite a lot of things. So they have quite a big influence, and also they have military in the country because of the Ukraine and stuff like that. The US has soldiers, the US has money in Europe, the US has military presence. So obviously they have an influence, and they're the most dominant country. So if the US tells a country like Romania or Slovakia, hey, you should do this, we don't really have kind of like a wiggle room, because you have to understand geopolitically, we don't have another option. There is no like neutrality from our standpoint. We are in Eastern Europe or Central Europe, so we gotta go with the West. We've been to the East, Romania has been to the East as well, and we don't want the Russian influence. All right, so what's the Islamic stance on this? And this is where it gets interesting. So in Islam, there's a presumption of innocence, and it's based on a couple of hadiths, which I want to share with you. So first one, Bulugh al-Maram, book number 10, hadith 1260, which says, Al-Bayhaqi transmitted on the authority of Ali radiallahu anha that he said, avoid the prescribed punishment by rejecting doubtful evidence. That's one hadith. But hadith number 33, Imam an-Nawawi, he wrote a book about 40 hadiths. On the authority of Ibn Abbas, the Messenger of Allah said, were people to be given in accordance with their claim, men would claim the fortunes and lives of other people. But the ones of proof is on the claimant, and the taking of an oath is incumbent upon him who denies. Basically, the whole premise is that you are innocent until proven guilty, and we need to see the evidence of those 4 women. We need to see the evidence of the rape and all those charges which they are bringing to the Tates. Maybe they did it, I don't know. And I just wanted to give kind of recommendations, because if Tate is able to get out of this jail, they have to move, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know why the US wants to go after him. I mean, there's a couple of cases like Edward Snowden or Julian Assange who had to flee the US because they leaked secret information from the government. Tate hasn't done nothing. Tate has literally done nothing. Not a single thing. What I think he should do, like exactly what Snowden done and all the other guys. I mean, Julian Assange is in prison, but the Snowden moved to Moscow, to Russia, because that's the only place that he can be safe from the US extradition. And they're still pressuring Putin to give him Snowden. But he's not gonna do it because, and the US knows they can't just infiltrate Russia because Russia's too powerful. So what you have to think about is, where can we go as Tates, as now the enemies of the system? Obviously, it was kind of impossible to cancel him, so now we're stepping up the game, bro. My recommendation is move to a country which is not gonna work with the US on your extradition, and you can still do your own thing. And I think the best country for that would be an Islamic country, but a strong Islamic country, not the corrupt. And I'm not gonna name any names, but I think Qatar is an obvious choice, because Qatar didn't bend the knee for the alphabet in the World Cup. So I think if Tate moves to Qatar, it's a good location. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but the UAE seems quite influenced already. I don't know if Dubai is the best choice. Turkey is obviously another choice, because the US can't do those things in Turkey, because Turkey it's a powerful state, and they're not gonna play around. So I think as a Muslim, I think going to Russia doesn't solve your issues, because in Russia, what are you gonna do in Russia, or in some other country like China? You can go to China. US is not gonna do anything to China or Russia, but you should go to the Middle East, and to a rich Middle Eastern country, or Turkey, which has a solid national security. What do you guys think? What should he do once he gets out, once he gets bail, once he whatever leaves? I think it's all bullcrap, to be honest. I think it's all bullcrap, but maybe I'm wrong. And I would be first to admit that if there's a solid evidence, I'm wrong. I didn't think I will kind of like protect Tate in this podcast, because I was quite critical of him in the past. I think his Hustlers University is not worth what it's supposed to be. I think his cam business was a joke. I think a lot of bad things about his kind of like businessy stuff. And I think his opinions on some issues were kind of crazy, and I would definitely disagree. But, you can't do this to the guy. So come on, let's be real. So assalamu alaikum. This was Jan from Slovakia, and let me know in the comments what do you think about him. And I'm sure the story is going to evolve. So maybe tomorrow there's going to be a different news. But anyways, this was my take. So assalamu alaikum.